Most gods live far away in the heavens, but one god watched your children sleep, not from the sky, but from the floor, from the quiet paths danger used when no one was looking. In ancient Egypt, homes were fragile. A door delayed intrusion, but never sealed it. Some dangers didn't announce themselves, they waited. Deadly. One strike was all it took, and no one would wake in time. Every night tested whether survival would hold, and humans couldn't watch everything at once. But something else could. When danger entered the home, people did not shout for authority. They waited, because something was already there to protect them. It saw what humans missed and reacted before humans noticed. It killed quickly when something crossed a line. The cat didn't hesitate. It didn't wait for help. It didn't need permission. It acted. This is why cats were trusted. Not because they were gentle, but because they were willing to face what humans couldn't. What protected the home also protected the future. Before power ruled from a distance, it lived beside us. This episode explores that power. How did a housecat become the goddess Bastet? Why would an entire civilization worship a god that lives under the bed? They worked for this. Months of heat, of labour, of waiting. And then, one mistake, one body in the grain, disease, hunger, loss. For a family like this, it wasn't inconvenience, it was collapse. Humans couldn't solve this alone, but cats could. They hunted what humans couldn't see. They protected food while families slept, and when the grain survived, so did the people. Cats lived beside humans, but they refused control. Humans could not command them, could not force obedience, but that refusal became the reason they were trusted. Because when danger appeared, cats did not wait for permission. They acted. Over time, protection took form. Feline form. Not because cats were worshipped, but because they proved reliable. Night after night, threat after threat. Therefore, cats were not treated like ordinary animals. They performed a non-replaceable survival function, operating completely independently. Their presence enforced an order that humans could not guarantee themselves. Their service was so valuable that to harm a cat was a serious crime. This wasn't symbolic reverence, it was structural protection. To harm a cat meant capital punishment. Why? Because the act sabotaged social stability and threatened collective survival. It would be like someone today sabotaging a fire alarm system in an apartment building. Protecting cats protected the system that kept people alive. In ancient Egypt, protection was not imagined as a constant force. It was imagined as restraint, the ability to remain calm until action became necessary. Cats embodied that logic perfectly. They ignored chaos, saved energy, waited, but when something crossed a boundary, they responded instantly. No hesitation, no negotiation. That kind of power was respected. Early images of Bastet were not soft, she was a lioness, because early danger was open, overwhelming, uncontained. But as humans settled, danger moved indoors. Boundaries mattered more than force, therefore protection changed with it. The lioness became the cat, smaller, closer, exact, not weaker, more efficient. The oldest religious texts in the world already describe her this way. In the pyramid texts, Bastet appears as a mother and nurse, watching over the king. In the coffin texts, she follows him into death, still guarding what is vulnerable. Protection did not end at the doorway. It extended beyond it. Bastet became associated with fertility, because survival depended on family. Cats produced large litters, they endured, so Bastet appeared with kittens at her feet. At the end of the year, during the demon days, people exchanged Bastet charms, not as decoration, as safeguards. Even litters of kittens were given as gifts. Her worship wasn't marginal. An entire city, Bubastis, was devoted to her. Festivals filled the streets. Bubastis became one of the wealthiest cities in the world. Pilgrims travelled there in huge numbers to honour Bastet and bury their cats. The city hosted one of the largest religious festivals in history, drawing massive crowds by river. According to Herodotus, hundreds of thousands of men and women arrived to drink, sing, play music and celebrate, consuming more wine during the festival than at any other time of the year. Bastet was often shown holding a sistrum. Because music to Egyptians did not mean entertainment, it meant harmony restored, noise reduced, disorder held back. And although Bastet did not create peace, she prevented its collapse. But societies do not stay small. As towns grew into cities, protection left the home. Families stopped guarding their own thresholds. Walls, laws, and soldiers took over. People watched less, systems promised more. Authority moved upward. And what once protected people up close no longer lived beside them, not because it failed, but because it was replaced. When power moved away from daily life, humans gained control, but they lost attentiveness, and survival began to depend less on awareness and more on force. Power ruled from distance. Animals were no longer partners in survival. They became property, resources, obstacles, not because the old knowledge was wrong, but because distance made it easy to ignore. Bastet was the goddess who lived in every home, not because she demanded belief, but because she proved reliable. And when God stopped living beside us, something subtle was lost, not strength, closeness. Next time, we meet a God who couldn't be softened, a God who ruled the river, a God whose worship acknowledged a different truth. Some forces cannot be domesticated. They can only be respected. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more true stories of the remarkable animals that helped shape human history, please share and hit the like, subscribe and alert bell to show your support.